Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all doing absolutely fantastic and that you're all having a great day. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and on Bookface. There are links in the description below. And without any further ado, well, let's jump right into it. This was very popular news, but not for the reasons that you would actually think. We have been in the midst, the throes, if you will, of terrible inflation for quite some time. If you have never looked at the inflation chart of the US dollar from 1971, you're in for a treat because the US dollar has lost over 99% of its original value since leaving the gold standard. Even better for those of you who weren't here for that. The US dollar has also lost 99% of its value to Bitcoin in just 15 years. That's always the one that's the I think the number is actually 12 years, but 15 is Bitcoin has been around for 15 years at this point. That's always a bit of the kicker. The last few years have seen an absolute explosion of corporate greed, of shrinkflation, of prices rising so dramatically that normal people cannot keep up. There was a video online, and I thought it was a good video, but of course people have to be cynical because we're so used to having been trapped in this race for so long that our minds can't conceptualize something better. And he was saying, he was talking about the prices of things, how high things have gone, where things are, where they used to be. He was comparing prices from like 2016 to now for food, for bananas, for housing. And then one of the things he said, isn't it really weird that the idea of a job at McDonald's or the job, a job getting minimum wage, if you will, anywhere, doesn't provide like the basic cost of living. The comment section was, of course, on fire as people were like, well, McDonald's is not a lifetime job. But listen to how much we've been brainwashed into thinking, what is McDonald's for then? Are you expecting only teenagers to work there? And then at the moment they turn 18, they get a full-time job that's paying them $75 an hour. We've been so tricked by the system into believing that the job that you have to have comes after you've spent $200,000 to go to school. Then and only then can you say that you have a real job. If it's making minimum wage, listen to the word, you should be able to cover the minimum level of your costs. That's housing, that's light, that's gas, that's electricity. And that's a whole bunch of other really expensive things that I also found out were also recently really expensive, like childcare. I have a friend, hung out with her. She was visiting from New York, and she was explaining, I did not know childcare was like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. What? Like, what in the world are you talking about? Anyway, dragging it on back a bit. Yeah, we have been stuck in this system where we are told to talk down to people who have normal jobs. You're supposed to look down on people who are like not making as much as you per month or economically, and look up to people who basically are stealing all the wealth at the very top. So this made big news for, like I said, not the reason that you would expect. This was very big news on a number of traditional news outlets where they basically stood up and clapped and said, this is wonderful. We knew this was going to happen. Everything is back to normal. Global inflation, which has suppressed risk assets like cryptocurrencies and tech stocks, is set to fall to 3.5% by the end of 2025. Thanks largely to a resilient world economy, this was said by the International Monetary Fund. I'm sure you see exactly where this is going. He said, and I quote, "The battle against inflation is almost won. After peaking at 9.4% year on year in the third quarter of 2022, we now project headline inflation to fall to 3.5% by the end of next year." This was said by IMF chief economist Pierre-Olivier Gourinchas in an interview at the International Monetary Fund's World Economic Outlook report. The news is, for those of you who didn't get it and you're also not standing up cheering, is that we won. The battle against inflation is over. Prices will go back to normal. All the food that's become really expensive is clearly going to also fall back down in price as well. Your rent will go back to where it was before. The costs of things over the last 4 years will go back to where they were back in 2019. That's what it means, right? That's what it means when you say that we've won the battle against inflation. That's what he meant, right? He said in most countries, inflation is now hovering close to central bank targets. Now inflation came down while the global economy remained resilient. Growth is projected to hold steady at 3.2% in 2024 and in 2025. There are a lot of banks, once again, for those of you who didn't get it or see it or hear it, who are projecting a soft landing, if you will, for the U.S. economy and the world economy, basically meaning that they're still projecting that inflation rates will be lowered. We're hearing the November, December, January, and I think it was Bank of America who said that they're expecting a 0.25 reduction basically every month until sometime next summer. This was major news. The idea of that, like, we won, we did it. For those of you who are also unaware, the yearly target for a government is meant to be around 2 to 3% to actually have inflation each year. So you want, as a government, an inflation target of 2 to 3% per year to inflate your currency and also to devalue it, essentially, as well. So we're almost there. We're almost back to, normal numbers. It says lower inflation may provide various benefits, including a decreased cost of living and interest rates, which could be a boon for risk assets such as cryptocurrencies. I try to not be cynical, but it's often very difficult when the people who are making all the rules tend to think that we're either stupid or that they're not delusional in some sort of way. Very similar to a couple of months ago, where the head of the Fed, remember, don't forget this, where he had a press conference similar to this thing right here. He was talking and he was saying, the global economy is doing great. I don't get why everyone's so upset. Why is everyone so angry? Things aren't as expensive as they were before. The economy is doing just fine. As jobless numbers continue to mount and people can't find jobs, and people who do find jobs, they're only giving part-time positions. So there are a lot of people who have 3 jobs and they're only working 15 hours per job because the job won't give them any more than that. Not even mentioning the companies in the USA only giving people 39 hours a week. If you're not from the US, you don't want to know why. If you're from the US, you know exactly why they're only giving 39 hours a week. So yeah, I guess the greatest news of all is that inflation has been vanquished. We're near these very low numbers. And I don't assume that people who own all the assets and all the companies are going to continue raising prices and shrinking the size of the things that they're, giving to people. Doesn't seem like that'll actually happen. Corporate greed has never been a thing, has it? No, the world is so messed up. It's so ridiculous. And the people who are in charge, I'll give it to you this way. If they had done what needed to be done in 2008 and 2009, basically the people who caused the havoc to, make them pay. And not to sound like Batman in that manner, but bring them to justice, make sure that the system gets cleaned up. We would have had a couple really rough years economically. But by the time we got to 2013, 2014, we would have been in a much better system that would have been better for the people. We're back in that situation once again where things look really bad. 2020 should have been the year where governments were like, okay, complete reset. We need to get this under control. Inflation can't be this way. We have to stop printing money. A lot of the economy is not going to do that well. The money that we do have, here's the the Disney movie version. We need to give money to the people to make sure that they can afford their rent, that they can afford things that they have to do. We're going to reset the system over the course of a year. So by the time we got to 2024, we would have been in a much better system. But all that's happening now is that we're getting this nonsense talk that things are so much better. And, the wealth that's going around is definitely trickling down to people. You know how many videos and things I've seen online of people who can't afford their rent? Have you seen the things that I can't be the only one? The people who are making videos about like going grocery shopping as a luxury. Have you seen those videos? If this doesn't entail you, you are probably one of the lucky ones. There are videos going around of people being like, I work this job. I make $70,000 per year. It's just me and my kid. I have one kid. Covering the rent, our insurance for both of us, school fees, this fee, so and so, blah 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 blah. Like I'm just making it. And they were saying, they said, before people go completely crazy in the comment section, making $70,000 a year, they said, yeah, and this is my tax rate, and this is how much I pay for this and all these other things. At the end of every single month, I have around $350 left for an emergency that I have to put aside. And they said every other month there is an emergency. Something because I'm forced to live in a place so I can actually afford the rent. I can't live in a big city. I have to have a car. And because I have a car, I can't buy a brand new one. I can't afford $1,500 every month to lease a new one. And I don't want to get into debt that continues accruing every single month. So I have to continuously change the oil. I have to continuously do this. In wintertime, it's also, and it all made sense. Like it all like fit perfectly together. This person wasn't working minimum wage. They had a good job, if you will. Even now, what's considered a good job, you must have seen these videos. They ask people, not those like really weird ones, hey, how much money do you make? I make $7.5 million per year. Like those like, oh, wow, you guys didn't plan that at all. But where they're asking people how much they make, and most people say like, I'm making over 150,000 and like I'm doing okay, but I'm also not doing as great as I would like to do. The average income, for those of you who don't know, a lot of people have this magical idea that in the United States, everyone's making $500,000 per year. There are a lot of people in big cities who are making like 33,000 per year, 41,000 like on a good month. It's literally an illusion that we've been fed for a very long time. Once again, to talk down to people. You made the wrong life choices. You didn't do what you had to do. While good and well, you're also making 58,000 per year. Also didn't make the right life choices, air quote. We've just been lied to our entire life. This is the way that the system is. Things have to be difficult. If you happen to get ahead, well, you did it because of hard work, not because your parents already had money and had real estate. That's also another really big thing. People keep pretending that like the money that they have didn't already come from somewhere. Your parents were smart enough and lucky enough to happen to have $7,000 back in the 1970s. You know how much $7,000 was in the 1970s? It was a lot of money. Don't assume that it was our $7,000. It was an egregious amount of money back when rent was like $95 for some apartments. They were able to buy a couple of houses. You benefit from it, generational wealth. For the other, let me see, 225 million people in the U.S. who didn't get that opportunity and weren't afforded that, they're left with the scraps. I told you I had a lot of friends who went to university in the States. A lot went to Boston, Vermont, and these other places. And I remember like, anyway, sorry, I'm like, sorry, complete segue. I don't know why I drift off like that. I think I have so much like annoyance with the system that my mind like just kind of wants to let it out. I don't know if that really makes any sense. Anyway, no, the system is rigged. Like it's pushed everyone into a corner to make them believe that something should have gone a certain way, and if it didn't go the exact way it should have gone, well, that's your fault, as opposed to like the system and the people who own everything constantly like telling you what the prices of things have to be. That's the we beat inflation news. I can't believe it, guys. We did it. You know, we finally made it. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, which is also becoming quite more popular as the days go along. I'm not sure why this year has nearly exclusively been kind of like a Ethereum improvement year in some sort of way. If you've missed, I mean, it was probably around 80 videos over the course of this year. There was constant news about Ethereum upgrades and what's going to happen to Ethereum and this new proposal for Ethereum and how this is going to help Ethereum and Ethereum transactions per second and the next upgrade that they're going. Like, it's been kind of continual. On most years, we have 2 news stories. There's an upgrade coming in January, and then we don't end up getting it until sometime in the summer. And there's a proposal for a new thing, ZK Snarks ABC. This thing is going to make this run a lot quicker, faster. We get it in December. Bam. But this year, every week, we're getting tons of Ethereum upgrade news, and this one was quite popular. I guess because Vitalik said it, I'm not really sure. Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin has proposed putting together a series of metrics to measure how aligned projects are with Ethereum's values. In a blog post, Buterin said achieving Ethereum alignment is one of the most important social issues. Social issues in the Ethereum ecosystem. Still, he acknowledged that it's a tough task, given the vast array of client teams, application developers, researchers, and local communities, each trying to contribute to Ethereum in a unique way. Despite belief, I don't know if you shouldn't have thought this, Ethereum has basically a cache, a large system of developers around the world, like literally around the world, who are all working independently to actually try and make Ethereum better in some sort of way. Remember when we spoke about this summer that Ripple has like a fund for companies and coders and developers who want to build on top of XRP? You can kind of take from that fund. You go to Ripple and say, hey, I want to build this thing. And they give you like funding for your project to be able to like have money to like give your team money to be able to develop this new thing. Major other coins have the exact same thing, and I think the Ethereum Foundation, of course, has one as well. And it basically comes down to you propose something, you say, hey, I have this idea, you make your code public, everyone gets to see it, they go, okay, we like this idea, work on it, and you get money from it. It's not really an issue, but the issue ends up being that when you have hundreds, if not, I don't know if it's thousands, let's say hundreds of people around the world who are working on the exact same system, they're going to have different ideas as to how to run it, what should be done. If you're making a new application, you see that someone else has made something 80% decentralized, and you go, well, 80 doesn't really matter. Let's make it 75%. Someone else makes a new system and they go, well, 75% is, it's okay, but let's make it 51%. So everyone has like a different idea of the metrics as to how things should be on the actual system. This is what he means by actually aligning with Ethereum values. Everyone makes amazing things, or people make amazing things. But then you also have to like worry about like, is this actually DeFi enough? That has been part of the problem that we've been going over the last 2 years, where DeFi was a major thing. Everyone kept on hyping it up. And I was like, a lot of these projects actually aren't decentralized. You've heard me say it's just guys inside of a room like working on this, like 4 guys, and they control the entire protocol. And multiple times there were rug pulls from a lot of these things, and or they received notices from the SEC. Bitcoin can't receive a notice from the SEC because it is decentralized enough. If it's 4 guys sitting in a room somewhere working on something, they can receive a notice from the SEC. So that's kind of the idea of what he's talking about. He said the primary challenge is making sure that all these projects are, collectively, building something that feels like one Ethereum ecosystem and not 138 incompatible fiefdoms? I think it's fiefdom. Like kingdom, fiefdom. I think it's fiefdom. Yeah, okay. Buterin said that there are already several starting points, such as how open source a project actually is. He said that while the open source means code can be inspected for security purposes, it also reduces the risk of proprietary lock-in and allows third parties to make improvements as well. I don't have to go over the entire article. This was very popular news. Like anything with Ethereum, if Vitalik gets into it, it ends up being far more popular as well. More people talk about it. It becomes more of a discussion, if you will. Cool. I'll say it this way. I was a bit more cynical around springtime going into summer because I was like, oh, yay, another proposal. Woo, here comes another thing that no one has been talking about before. But it's nice that they're actually trying to find cohesion in the actual ecosystem, that they're actually announcing multiple things that are going to be happening with the blockchain and we're hearing it again. I'm not being delusional, right? If you've missed it, multiple times this year, the discussions of a 100,000 transaction Ethereum chain keep popping up. And that's not even talking about the layer 2s, which are also becoming a thing. The idea, for those of you who also missed, the people from Bored Ape Yacht Club just also made Ape Chain. I think, was it Uniswap? Uniswap also did what I think they made Unichain, so everyone's kind of making their own chain as a layer 2 on top of Ethereum, as opposed to just like literally laying on top of the blockchain and like causing traffic. That's kind of a very good analogy. What we have now is everyone's trying to like kind of bring their ecosystem to a layer 2 system, so that the finality of transactions take place on Ethereum, but it's also not clogging up the Ethereum blockchain, so that they can upgrade it more to actually have 100. It's not that I'm skeptical so much as since 2016, they've been talking about 100K TPS, and I just kind of want to see it at this point. That'd be kind of cute. Yeah. That's the Ethereum alignment ecosystem stuff. Awesome. Cool. Hope it all works out. And yeah, let's move on. Also this is also another really big thing. This year has been, I don't want to use the word marred, but kind of, we've seen a lot of stablecoin talk. We've seen a lot of ETF talk. And now we're also getting light discussions of making Bitcoin payments more usable. People have varying degrees of what this means, going from Liquid, going to Lightning Network, going to other proposals that have been thrown out there. But we're also seeing a rapid increase in, what do you call these things? Wrapped Bitcoin. We heard from other chains are doing the exact same thing. It's not just Bitcoin, but for Bitcoin, it's kind of like needed a little bit more, where you can have wrapped Ethereum, you can have wrapped Cardano, you can have wrapped XRP. The idea is, or rather what it is that you kind of, you would take the Bitcoin and lock it into another chain. I'm giving you like simplicity. Lock it into another chain, air quotes, to be able to use the value of Bitcoin on that chain. The benefits are, A, you're locking up the Bitcoin. So let's say you took 10 Bitcoin and you locked it up as a crypto exchange and locked it up inside of Cardano or inside of the XRP blockchain, what have you. You're basically taking, those 10 Bitcoin have basically left circulation from the normal Bitcoin blockchain. And you're then able to transact the value of Bitcoin on a faster chain. So instead of the 3 to 5 transactions per second for Bitcoin, you basically are getting the 5 to 10,000 transactions per second on XRP while still transacting in the value of Bitcoin. That's one of the ideas for like Bitcoin payments and movement of Bitcoin faster. But the underlying is basically being able to essentially stake or lock in your Bitcoin somewhere else or into the system so that it's kind of unusable, therefore rapidly decreasing the circulating supply, like literally the circulating supply, and also, making Bitcoin scarcer and being able to transact on it. It's one of these ideas of interoperability between the chains kind of thing. The second largest US-based crypto exchange by trading volume is launching a new 1-to-1 Bitcoin pegged token. According to the announcement, Kraken has released the Kraken Wrapped Bitcoin, or KBTC, a wrapped Bitcoin token fully backed by the exchange. I would hope so. If it was not fully backed, what would be the point of actually using it? They said, "We are thrilled to launch Kraken Bitcoin, KBTC, a fully backed, cross-network compatible ERC..." Oh yeah, I knew it was Ethereum. "Cross-compatible ERC20 representation of Bitcoin, custodied by Kraken. KBTC is fully backed, cross-network compatible, ERC20. Each KBC token is fully backed 1-to-1 by an equivalent amount of Bitcoin and held securely in Kraken's custody." Yeah, most of them thus far have been ERC20 tokens, which is basically any coin that's on top of Ethereum is known as an ERC20 token, for those of you who didn't know that or didn't get the lingo before. It's the idea of, as Ethereum is Ethereum and has multiple other coins and chains on top of it, it is the most used blockchain on the planet. Therefore, you'd be able to wrap your Bitcoin or have wrapped Bitcoin, and you would be able to transact in value of Bitcoin across the Ethereum ecosystem. That goes it even extends also to DeFi as well. If you have any projects or something that you want to use or whatever, so and so, it gives Bitcoin, if you will, an extra use case for being able to be used outside of its system. We've seen already the efforts that developers are making and have been making when trying to create NFTs on top of Bitcoin, to create smart contracts on top of Bitcoin. They're trying to bring native staking to Bitcoin, which is also going to be a very big thing for those of you who missed it. The idea would kind of be similar, to Ethereum staking. You basically lock in your Bitcoin into the network and you receive some kind of a reward for doing it. The idea basically being that would also decrease the circulating supply of Bitcoin. And I mean, if Bitcoin had a reward baked into it, remember I told you before, like, I think this is I'm certain it's being developed right now, but I told you I don't think anyone's going to like use it until it's like available on Kraken and Gemini and Binance and Coinbase. When you can buy Bitcoin or have Bitcoin and lock it into something and get a guaranteed return every year, it's going to be game over for about 90% of altcoins out there. Because that's actually the only missing piece right now. So even for those of you who didn't get it, you're also able to, in theory, get wrapped Bitcoin from Kraken, Coinbase, because they all have their own wrapped version of it. You're also able to kind of lock it into an Ethereum protocol that also gets you a return. So Bitcoin doesn't yet have this natively, but like, you don't understand, like, it's going to be GG for a lot of other coins. I mean, you can kind of already do it now, but when something really big pops up. So if any crypto exchange at some point begins offering like, lock up your wrapped Bitcoin into this Ethereum protocol and get 8% back per year, other coins are going to have a problem. Yeah, that's the Kraken has released their own wrapped Bitcoin. I am happy that they're also very transparent with these things as far as like, hey, it's backed 1-to-1, because crypto exchanges could very well simply make a wrapped Bitcoin and not peg it to anything and not have a 1-to-1 basis for it, which would be terrible. But the fact that they're letting us know, hey, we only create one when we have one, that's wonderful for the ecosystem, so that they're essentially not printing, if you will, or creating any more Bitcoin out of thin air. The same exact thing with paper Bitcoin. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.